Hello, good day and welcome. My name is Michael Manuel Javes and this is Mad Mix Conspiracies. Guys, you better take a seat. This is going to knock you off your feet. I've got some revelations here. This has come down from on high. My high contacts up in the government and the military and the Illuminati and the New World Order and all that. Sit down. Are you ready for this? Politicians and governments around the world have lied to us. Yeah, I know that's come as a shock. I know a lot of you didn't realise that, but I just thought I'd share that with you today. The European Parliament are talking about the fact that the top executive from Pfizer has said that it was never tested for transmission.
If you don't get vaccinated, you're antisocial. This is what the Dutch Prime Minister and Health Minister told us. You don't get vaccinated just for yourself, but also for others. You do it for all of society. That's what I said. Today, this turned out to be complete nonsense. In a COVID hearing in the European Parliament, one of the Pfizer directors just admitted to me, at the time of introduction, the vaccine had never been tested on stopping the transmission of the virus. This removes the entire legal basis for the COVID passport. The COVID passport that led to massive institutional discrimination as people lost access to essential parts of society. I find this to be shocking, even criminal. Please watch the video until the end.
Voor u, mevrouw Small, heb ik de volgende vraag waar ik een duidelijk antwoord op wil. And I will speak in English so there are no misunderstandings. Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
This is scandalous. Millions of people worldwide felt forced to get vaccinated because of the myth that you do it for others. Now this turned out to be a cheap lie. This should be exposed. Please share this video.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households. That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. One form of exercise a day, for example, a run, walk or cycle, alone or with members of your household. Any medical need to provide care or to help a vulnerable person, and travelling to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. That's all. These are the only reasons you should leave your home. You should not be meeting friends. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. You should not be meeting family members who do not live in your home. You should not be going shopping except for essentials like food and medicine. And you should do this as little as you can. And use food delivery services where you can. If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them, including through fines and dispersing gatherings. To ensure compliance with the government's instruction to stay at home, we will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing and electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds and outdoor gyms and places of worship. We'll stop all gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with, and we'll stop all social events, including weddings, baptisms and other ceremonies, but excluding funerals. Parks will remain open for exercise, but gatherings will be dispersed. No Prime Minister wants to enact measures like this. I know the damage that this disruption is doing and will do to people's lives, to their businesses and to their jobs. And that's why we've produced a huge and unprecedented programme of support both for workers and for business. And I can assure you that we will keep these restrictions under constant review. We will look again in 3 weeks and relax them if the evidence shows we are able to. But at present, there are just no easy options. The way ahead is hard, and it is still true that many lives will, sadly, be lost. And yet it is also true that there is a clear way through. Day by day, we are strengthening our amazing NHS with 7,500 former clinicians now coming back to the service.
So good to see you.
I know.
Oh. It felt great. It felt great, honestly. I could not believe that things went so well, you know, afterwards, because at the time I wasn't feeling good, but once I got that job and things started to be better, so I had a wonderful year. Thanks to the NHS, I've been here today. It's amazing how many people who don't want it. I don't know why, because they should have it. They should have it. Everybody should have the job. I keep saying this over and over again. The best Christmas present I could have was being in good health and having had the job and feeling free from this horrible virus. You just want to press it again and again.
Yeah.
Please do get the job.
What do you see when you look at this in terms of what it means for other people who are vaccinated but maybe still nervous about exposure?
Well, you know, it's important to point out, Chris, that there's certainly breakthrough infections. Breakthrough infections mean you have been vaccinated, but you still get infected. But the critical point is that I think 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9 of them had no symptoms at all, which means it is very likely that the level of virus in their nasopharynx is low and they won't transmit it. So although you don't want...
From new studies out of Israel showing the Pfizer vaccine not only stops people from getting sick, but also stops them from spreading the virus to other people. Tonight, Isabel Rosales on whether this could be yet another major turning point in the pandemic.
In Eastbourne.
First of all, congratulations to everyone that's been involved in the vaccination programme. I think it's something we can all be proud of. My question is related to the second dose, and it's really that if I've had my second dose and I'm socialising exclusively with other people that have had their second dose, can we ditch social guidelines, social distancing guidelines and intermix normally? Bearing in mind that if we weren't mixing exclusively with people that have their second dose, i.e. First doses and people that have not had a vaccine at all, that we would of course still maintain all the social distancing measures in place. If I can't socialise exclusively when I'm exclusively with people that have had their second dose, what's the rationale? Thanks.
Paul, another very, very good question. A lot of people are starting to ask this question. I think that we really need to see more data, particularly about transmission between people who've already had the vaccine and others before we think about relaxing social distancing and guidelines for everybody. And I think that really this is something that we will start to think a bit further down the line about what potential is opened up by these vaccinations. But I think what everybody wants to see is a world in which we can relax the guidelines and the non-pharmaceutical interventions for everybody. So relax all the kind of restrictions for everybody and do that by vaccinating, as Chris was explaining with the chart of the most vulnerable groups, vaccinating as many of the most vulnerable as we can, as fast as possible, and then taking a view about the interaction between that and the prevalence of the disease. At the moment, as we've discussed several times, the level of infection is still forbiddingly high for us to imagine the relaxation of the current guidelines. But we're obviously going to be reviewing that in the days ahead. Chris, anything you want to say more about this idea that people increasingly talk of vaccine passports, as it were?
So thank you, PM. And thank you for the question, because I'd really like to make 2 points really clearly at the beginning and then expand on them a bit. The first is, if you've just been vaccinated, there is a period of time after that when you do not have any protection. So it's very important that in that stage you realise that it takes 2 or 3 weeks, in older people probably slightly longer, to achieve any kind of protection. Second thing is, our really clear advice at the moment is please stick to the social distancing irrespective of whether you've had vaccination. And of course, because we are delaying the second dose, the great majority of people are actually vaccinated with 1 dose but not with 2 at this stage, but that will change over time as we start to roll out the second vaccination. But then I think the thing to understand with these, and this is in answer to the question, what's the rationale? Vaccines are going to protect in 3 different ways. The first of which is they will protect you, the person who's being vaccinated, and they'll protect to a very good degree based on the data we have so far. Of course, we need to get more data in real life. That's what the last question was about, but we're confident it'll protect you as an individual. Secondly, as you say, it'll mean that people will be able to know that many of the people they interact with have also been vaccinated, and that will also reduce the risk, although we don't yet know with confidence quite how much these vaccines reduce the risk of transmission. So they do reduce the risk of severe disease, of symptomatic disease, and of dying. They probably reduce the risk of transmission, and data came out today to support that, but we're not absolutely confident about exactly how much. And then the third way they reduce the risk is to reduce the amount of the virus that is circulating in the whole population. And that we are nowhere near being close to. And I think if you think of those numbers right at the beginning and think back to the last published ONS data that implied somewhere like 1 in 55 people currently have the virus, the rate of virus in the community is incredibly high. So that third thing we also need to do, which is use the vaccine plus the social distancing that everyone is doing to pull the rates of the virus right down. And then if you've got very low rates in the community, you're vaccinated and your friends and colleagues are vaccinated, that will substantially reduce the risk for everybody.
Thanks very much, Paul. Laura Koonsberg, BBC.
Or it's only killing 80-year-olds.
There's been a few different versions of these stories knocking around. There was a version of it in the Sunday Times, which was not accurate, but the version that the BBC reported was accurate.
And you heard that?
I heard that in the Prime Minister's study.
Okay, next question.
That was not then, that was not in September though. That was immediately after he finally made the decision to do the lockdown on the 31st of October.
Okay, next question. You showed us a whiteboard picture, and one of the phrases on it that I think has caused some concern is, who do we not save? What was the answer to that?
Well, that was asking the obvious question at that point. No, at that point it was too late to stop disaster on the 13th of March, was my view, and the people who I thought figured this out best view. So the comment on there was essentially like, we're already partly over the cliff. Like, who is not going to be saved in this situation? Like, have we figured that out? Who's most vulnerable, etc., etc., etc.
Ever? This song's about the vaccine. This was my college song, remember? Come on, vaccine! 'Cause every night at last call we would dance and we would sing along. When can we do that again?
Lots of backup dancing.
I wanna be allowed to be in a crowd. Just hurry up and send a shot my way.
You got this, baby.
I wanna be immune today. Come on, vaccine. Don't want COVID-19. It's been 10 months.
I have nothing to offer here.
Just come on, vaccine. So many exposed. When will we get our dose? Just please hurry.
I got nothing.
And come on, vaccine. Such a good backup dancer. Yeah. You know, here's what's been going on so far. England got theirs first. Come on, vaccine. We had Project Warp Speed, but somehow our rollout is the worst. This this has really sucked. Come on, vaccine. Missed holidays and birthdays. Come on, we need it so we can beat it. Hurry up. I'd also like to leave my house soon, away from my kids. Moderna and Pfizer, they did say there's 3 billion doses on the way. So come on, keep them coming, guys. Come on, vaccine. Can't get one for my teen. She's too young now. But come on, vaccine. Don't care what's in it. It could be made of shit. And I take it.
Yup.
So come on, vaccine. Seriously.
Like hot dog water.
You know,
Give
think
it to
about
me.
what has been in my body the last 46 years. Mad Dog, Kiwi, Lime. It's a thing. I eat Chester's Flaming Hot Fries, one giant bag at a time. I've had 10 McRibs.
More than 10.
And I'm still ticking, so I'm thinking, here we go, one more time. Whatever's inside of that needle can't be as bad as Red Bull. Because I've had like 10 of those a day when I was a kid.
When you were a
Come
kid?
on, vaccine. None of us are that clean. Can you help us? Just come on, vaccine. I could get on a plane, see a show on Broadway, since it's up once it's open. So come on, vaccine. Okay, break. I used to bounce to this. Come on, vaccine for Betty White. Come on, vaccine for Dick Van Dyke. Come on, Morgan Freeman, he needs one right.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Hey, come on, come on. If you're over 65, come on. Keep Jackie Chan alive, come on. So Bob Barker can survive. Oh yeah. Because at the rate we're getting it in our country, we won't reach herd immunity until sometime in 2023. Come on, vaccine. How fast can you guys be? You can do it. Just come on, vaccine. Yeah, patience is key, but that don't work for me. I'm impatient. So come on, vaccine. Yeah.
High five.
Woo!
Literally, I had one job to just like take his script and do that, and I forgot that halfway
you did
through.
great.
But I was really caught up in my backup dancing abilities. Also, could we get Dolly Parton on the list?
I feel like she
Please.
donated to the Moderna vaccine, so I think maybe she's got one.
She
right.
donated to one of them. She needs to be
Yeah.
front line. Guys.
Yeah.
I expect to hear some alternate views. It's okay.
But you know what we should be commenting about? Have you ever listened to that song sober before?
No.
Have you ever
No. Great
not
song.
been in a bar at one